All right, today's article starts out by saying where this job and where these people are in the U.S. It says, Alaska, U.S. is an interesting place to live. Now, I don't know if our students know much about Alaska, but it's actually not connected to the United States.
No, it's not.
It's connected to Canada, and it's way up in the north. It's kind of close to Russia. It's next to the Arctic. It's really, really cold.
And really big.
And it's really big, and it's really quiet there. There's not a lot going on in Alaska.
Yeah. So, as for Alaska, because it's such a unique state, the article says, many people move there to start a new life.
Okay, trying to get away from regular working life.
Yeah, too many people.
Experience something a bit different. Now, because of all these things we talked about, how far away Alaska is, how cold it is and big it is, it says here in the article, surviving in Alaska can be hard though, as winter temperatures often drop below minus 45 degrees Celsius or negative 45 degrees Celsius. We can say that both ways. Now, there's an important verb we used in that sentence. It was the verb survive. We said surviving in this place can be difficult. Now, when you survive in difficult conditions, such as cold weather, extra hot weather, anything that makes life hard, you keep living even though it can be very difficult.
Right. Now, just like a typhoon.
Right. You survive a typhoon, especially, if you live on the east coast of Taiwan and it gets really windy and rainy over there, sometimes surviving a typhoon is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's another example sentence. Tanya is struggling to survive after losing her job and her home.
Oh, that's a tough situation.
Yeah, that's another difficult situation that you could be in, right? It doesn't have anything to do with weather. It's all about, the things in your life.
Yes, definitely. So but something is making it worse. What's worse, if something breaks, it can take months to get fixed. So, out in Alaska, if something breaks down,
it takes a while to get fixed. I mean, you can't just drive it around the corner and say, hey, can you fix my scooter?
Let me find my mechanic on Google. Yeah, nope, can't do it.
Now, we said something gets worse. We said what's worse, this phrase.
Yeah, so what's worse means like something already bad has already been mentioned, and the next thing makes it even worse. So cold weather is already a dangerous situation, but it can be worse when your car or something else important breaks down. So it's minus 45 degrees out, and what's worse, you have a broken down car.
That doesn't sound like a great situation to be in.
Well, not fun.
No. Well, we also talked about a grammar point in that sentence. We used the word get. Let's talk about that now. Okay, in that sentence, we used the grammar point get with an object and an object complement. You might remember we said get it fixed. Now, we use this verb, but it isn't complete without an object and an object complement in this pattern. Now, we have to say that someone has to do something, that's our object, that someone, and what they have to do, that's our object complement. Now, for instance, in the article, we're saying that if a car breaks down, you need to fix it. You're the object, and somebody has to take the car to a shop and ask a person to fix it. Okay, so that's what you have to do, fix. Now, here are some other examples. My mom got me to do the dishes this morning. So my mom asked me to wash the dishes and I did it. I am the object and the object complement is do the dishes. Here's another one. Kelly wants to get her computer repaired so that she can play online games. So Kelly wants someone, that's the object, to fix her computer for her. That's the object complement, fix her computer, so she can play games. Okay, so we know it's really hard to live in Alaska.
Yes.
And it gets even harder if something like your car or your machinery, even just your cell phone kind of stop working. It gets really hard. So luckily, there are some people out there who can help you.
Yeah, for sure. That's what the show is about. Thankfully, Todd and Clint are there to assist people.
Okay.
So here we see the adverb thankfully. Thankfully doesn't mean you're actually thanking somebody like, thank you, Aaron, but that Todd and Clint being there to fix people's things is good for people. It's a luckily, fortunately true thing.
Right.
And it's good fortune and good luck that Todd and Clint are around to help out.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are obviously, they're very grateful that they're there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's find out more about Todd and Clint. It says here, they run a small company that builds and repairs machines for locals. Now, this is a pretty good thing to do, especially in this place that's far away. They are going to build machines and repair machines. Now, when you repair something, this verb means that you fix something that's broken or not working properly. So out here in Alaska or out there in Alaska, you might not be able to just go buy a new car so easily, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a big city, of course you can, but far away from a big city, no, you need to fix the broken ones instead, right?
Yeah.
Here's another example. The front wheel on my bike isn't turning, so I need to repair it. I need to make it better so I can use my bike.
Yep. Okay, and here we're going to another word that we used in this sentence called local, and we're going to talk about that right now. So Clint and Todd are repairing things for people and building things for people. But who do they need to build things for? The locals. Local can be an adjective or a noun, but in this case, it's a noun. And it's referring to the people who come from and live in a certain place. So this is the local people in Alaska where Clint and Todd live. If you're a Taipei local, you've probably spent most of your life in Taipei, and you see yourself as belonging to the city. These two guys in the article help out the locals in Alaska.
All right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Local can be an adjective like local food, local people, or you can actually be talking about the people who live in a place.
Right. So here's an example of that. The locals of this town are very friendly to visitors. They're usually happy to show people around.
That's always nice.
Sounds familiar. Could be Taipei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the show. We said we were talking about a show. We're going to find out what it is now. It says, on Discovery's show Last Outpost, you can see how they started their business and watch them make their clever creations.
That sounds really cool.
It does sound pretty interesting. Now, we should describe what an outpost is. An outpost is this noun. It's a group of buildings far away from big cities or towns. Now, you might have an outpost in the very far north, for example, where few people live because it's so cold. Now, the few people who do live in the outpost are probably there for work, such as the military, or for hunting or fishing.
Yep. So, in this outpost, or this last outpost, Todd and Clint make creations. And creation is a noun talking about something interesting or new that you make. So it could be something like a new recipe, an art piece, or something like a useful machine, which is what they are making. Yeah.
Okay, so they're making all these creations there, and here in the article it says, when Todd and Clint met 5 years ago, they quickly connected over their love of automobiles, boats, and snowmobiles.
Wow.
Okay, so I know for sure you probably all know what a boat is by now. But let's talk about the other two words there. First, snowmobile.
Snowmobile.
Now, this is something that is very common where I live in Canada. It's a machine that can travel on snow. It's kind of like a jet ski.
Yeah.
So if you're at the beach and you see someone going back and forth on the water, it's kind of like that, but for the snow, not the water. It's got skis on the bottom of it.
They're really fun to ride.
They are.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the other word we saw in that article was automobile. Now, this is another noun, and it's another word for a car. Now, this is kind of an old-fashioned word for car, so we don't use it too often anymore. Here's an example. Iman needs an automobile for work, so she's going to buy a used car.
All right, and going back to the article, later, after 5 years, they met 5 years ago, later they decided to work together and start a business.
Okay, well, if you meet someone who likes the same things as you do, and you know that a lot of people need something, if you can do all those things for those people, that's a great reason to start a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, what did they have to do to start this business? Here in the article, it says, since they were low on funds, Todd and Clint had to be smart. All right, so we saw that to start their business, Todd and Clint had to be smart with their funds. Now, funds here is used as a plural noun. Okay, we can use it as a singular noun, fund, F-U-N-D, but here we're using it as funds. Now, funds are the money that an organization or a person needs to have to do something. Or it's the money they already have that they can use to do something. So to start a business, you need some money, and this money, you can call it your funds. Here's an example sentence. Tina and Ned don't have the funds to buy their own house right now. So what we're saying is that Tina and Ned need to save more money just to buy this house. Okay, so let's recap what's happening here in the TV show.
Right.
Todd and Clint, they live in Alaska. It's not very easy where they live because they live in an outpost. That's kind of like a very, very, very small, not even a town, just like a few buildings. Right? Yeah. And they live there, and when things break down there, it gets hard to fix them.
Yeah.
Now, both of these guys, Todd and Clint, they really like machines. They like cars and snowmobiles and boats, and they like fixing them. Okay, so here's what they've done. They have started their own business, and they've gotten some money to do this, and they do other things to make it easier to help other people fix their things. So they've gotten a bit of money, but they don't have quite enough. So what do they do?
Well, I think they have to be a little resourceful, and they have to find things they can use instead of, ordering out for new parts and things like that.
Yes.
So in the article, it says to keep costs down, they often use other people's junk to make their new machines.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and junk is something, very useful in life for more than just machines.
Right.
So junk here is a noun. Junk is a little bit related to trash. Some people think, oh, this is junk. It doesn't have any use. But actually, junk is very useful here. Here, junk means items or parts that can't do what they were made to do anymore, but they're still useful. So junk can be really helpful when you're building new things, like bits of metal, fabric, paper, broken machine parts, even whole cars that are broken down are all good examples of junk.
Right. So that's kind of just like if you have a car and it's not working, maybe there's one piece of the car that doesn't work, and that you can probably just throw away.
Yeah.
But you could use all of the other parts in the car to fix other things.
There you go. Because you still got most of a good car.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
all right. Do we have another example of junk?
Yes, we do. Here's an example sentence. Using junk from her dad's garage, Sarah made a robot that could carry heavy objects.
Oh, okay.
Pretty smart,
so
Sarah.
Lots of old things just hanging out in the garage, just using them to put together a robot that's going to do more work for her.
Yes.
Pretty smart, just like you said.
Yeah.
All right. So they don't need a lot of money if they can just use things that are broken down in people's yards. They can go and take machine parts and use them to fix things.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a good thing that they do this because it says getting rich isn't their top goal anyway.
No.
And if they're not using or making a lot of money, then they don't need to worry about money.
Right. And if you're fixing machines for people, you're probably not going to get rich doing that no matter who you are.
That's all right. If you love it, that's all that counts, right?
Exactly. All right. So going on, it says, Todd believes if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
And that's
okay.
Yeah,
I guess it can kind of mean that if you love your job, it doesn't feel like work.
It just feels like you're having fun. Yeah. Now, we will all be so lucky if we find a job like that for us, won't we?
Yes.
All right. Well, we have come to the end of today's article. We're going to our For You chat now, and we'll be back tomorrow to finish talking about the show with you. So stay tuned.
All right.